So, how serious is the problem of the validity of SAT? So why is that a problem, that it doesn't prove college readiness?
Well, I think it's a problem because it doesn't prove college readiness, but colleges and students are both using it to judge college readiness. Like, a lot of colleges accept people based on the SAT, so even if they get a good SAT score but they aren't necessarily prepared for college, they'll still let them into the school. Or vice versa, like if you are prepared for college but you can't take an SAT well, then you're not going to get into a college that you deserve to, and then it's like wasting your talents and stuff.
I just don't think it's good that students who do very poorly on the SAT because of their inability to get help and like have the resources for prep,
right.
as opposed to students who don't have that access and they don't do as well.
There's been so much research on the fact that kids with like a high income, that have high income parents, they can pay for the tutors and the things that help them, and like low income kids don't. So like that's a problem because they don't have the opportunities at home, and they don't have the opportunities when they take the test.
Right, it's biased to the people with more money who can buy tutoring and extra help and stuff. So it's not a level playing field.
The exact number I saw, like they had incomes in from like 0 to like 30,000. I think it was like around 14, and then like 200,000 over for income was like 1,700. So there's like a huge difference.
I read somewhere where they actually stated that it's practically like kids with like higher income families can buy their SAT scores because they have so much more access to help like prior to taking the test, other than like kids who just have a lower income.
And you can't buy help in college.
No.
That's true. You can't buy your help.
It's not fair.
And you can take the SAT like a bunch of times, and it's like $80.
And that's costly as well, even just the test in general.
And there was another thing that I read that said something like an opportunity cost. So like
the time that you could spend studying, you could be doing other things.
Yeah,
kids
so like
could probably like be working.
Yeah, so like to promote college readiness, like obviously SAT is one thing, but when you're spending so much time outside of the classroom, like getting tutored and preparing for it, like you're missing out on all the other things that could prepare you for college, like actually studying for school and like doing things like extracurriculars.
Or if you have to work.
And working.
Exactly.
Right.
Like I think work ethic is so much more important than like just like a standard.
And knowing how to take a test well, because it doesn't.
But colleges need it. Like Penn State can't just. They need a number. Like to
you need something to.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So that's why we need to keep it, because it's like it's a measure. They can look at fastly and like sort through the applicants, because they don't have time to look at every single person's essay. But
it's kind of a useless. I get that they need a measure, but it's kind of a useless measure if it's not going to properly judge it.
That's why we need to change it, right?
Well, it started off as like for people who like it started in like 1920, so like people who were like veterans in like World War I, like it was like just something like be like, all right, you're this good, like we just take the test, like just to like see, and like it wasn't about like do this prep course and take the exam 3 times and then take your best score. It was just like just take it, like see what you actually know.
I think like the reason, like whoever came up with what it promotes, like I think it was just wrong. Like I don't think it's a measure of college readiness. Like I think that's just not.
I don't think that's what it was intended to be either.
Yeah, it's not.
But
I think it was supposed to be partly based off IQ. Like it was kind of supposed to be like an IQ test, but it's like not.
But I think over time, as like college standards have gotten more high, people put more pressure on it, which has only made it worse. It doesn't make it any better.
True.
So.
Well, originally the SATs were only for the University of Harvard, for like kids for Ivy League schools, because obviously like it's more competitive. And then the president of Harvard like encouraged all the Ivy League schools to like start promoting this test, be like, hey, like now you're gonna get the best of the best. And then other schools started to see that, and they wanted to have a better name for their school. So like that's how the SATs came about. So like really it all started from Ivy League schools, and like not every kid is like made out to be like that.
Yeah, plus it's only one measure, like it's just reading and writing. Like kids can like
there's so many other ways like of intelligence other than just those critical thinking ones.
And like we talked about, like I think if they want to keep it as the fact that it proves college readiness, then they're gonna need to change the way that test is administered. Like I think there's a difference. Like if they want it to be an IQ test, like I think to keep it the way that it is fine. But if they want it to like prove college readiness, then they need to change it. And I think that's what they want to do.
You're not supposed to train an IQ test.
No.
Like
no.
Then it's not your IQ.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I also feel like I looked up and it said like it called non-traditional students, which are like you're not typical like like people from different backgrounds, like that like should be put into play into the SATs, like the backgrounds of other people and what they have more knowledge on than like your regular person.
Right, so I think that's back to the higher income. The ones with higher income come from a different
honestly all
background.
stems
No,
back
it
from
really
that.
does, and that's not fair.
No, it's
I
not
don't
fair.
think that's fair.
I even saw a study that said like just girls in general, like when like they have a like higher I don't know, they're like more susceptible to like test anxiety and like they worry more, so like they like statistically do like not as well as like men do.
And I think it's also the test is black and white.
Yeah.
Like the test is it's one choice is right, and like
Right.
girls, I mean typically they think in like.
And then there's those questions that are like, 2 questions might be right, but what's the best choice?
Yeah.
And that's just like, my best choice might not be the best choice.
So it's like not even like it goes further than just socioeconomic status.
Yeah.
And another problem is the fact that it doesn't always reflect what you learn in high school. Like teachers have criticized it so hard because like the words and the vocab on it, like you don't learn that in high school. So like how's that fair? Like kids have to go to a tutor to understand what's going to be on it because they don't know, and that's another like issue.
And I feel like a lot of the times, like even the words and the things that they're testing on, they're like they don't even come up in college. So it's like there's no like they're testing to say, oh, if you know these, you're ready for college. But then you get to college and you didn't need to know it anyway. So it's kind of why bother testing you on it.
Well, did you guys read into like what's being administered for the new SATs?
I was just gonna say
2016. Yeah, it said something about it's more relevant vocabulary will be put into place rather than the crazy SAT words that seem only coherent to the SAT test itself.
Yeah.
So that kind of.
Well, I think that's helpful, but I mean, in my opinion at least, they're only really changing the content of the test, and I think that's helpful, definitely, but I still think it's kind of like the format of the test is just wrong.
Standardized
Yeah,
test.
standardized tests begin with just aren't.
It's so long.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the criteria. So we talked about all the problems that it is, and now we need to say like what we think should be in the solution to fix it.
Right.
So, and then that goes back to like the whole values thing. So the values are fairness, freedom, and safety, and then some goals are like specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So I think for the values, one thing we talked about was like the low income aspect of it.
It needs
so
to be
like it needs to be
homogenous for everyone.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that also goes back to the whole high school thing. Like it should be an equal, like everyone should get an equal chance whether they're in high school or not. So like the things that are taught in high school should be on the SAT.
Yeah.
And that College Board has to make sure that like it's even for everyone. Like with the whole math thing, like there's so many different levels of math and every kid's at a different level that like you have to make sure that it's even for everyone.
There's some things that some kids don't take.
Exactly. And same with like low income schools, like not all of them are taught like the way that like a private school is taught. So they need to make it. They need to make it equal somehow.
Yeah.
Some teachers like
So that's a big thing. Made fair for
are better at teaching like for the test, whereas like some just don't like know like the tricks and like the skills that you need to take it.
And we're not going to get rid of all the variability, but we need to at least minimize it so much.
You have to.
Right.
It's a common cause, so you can't get rid of it. You just have to deal with it.
Okay. What else?
What criteria? I think we have to be able to judge like more than just the basic math and like writing knowledgeability.
So broaden it, maybe.
Like because people think in more like there's like left side, right side of the brain. Like not everyone thinks in like an analytical math type of way, and that's unfair to those kids.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe not like broaden, but
Like the way the questions
make it
are
less
asked.
specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. No,
Maybe
that makes sense.
incorporate
Because
more
it covers
subjects
a lot of ground.
than just
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mean broaden as in like make it longer. Like I think it's lengthy.
I think
enough
if
as it
anything,
is.
if they want to keep it, do we want to keep it that it should prove college readiness? Is that what we want to keep it as?
I think that's what its goal
I think
should
that
be.
it should be.
I think
I think that's the overall goal.
Okay.
But
So that's
I would say that like even though like it should like judge college readiness, but like it's more now just to get into the college.
Yeah.
So make it like instead of just to get in, like make it stuff that's applicable after.
Okay.
Like
Right.
Like
so maybe
after you
like
get
reflect what's learned in high school
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
More like how you use the knowledge you got in high school and how you prove
Yeah.
that in the
Exactly,
test.
yeah.
Okay.
Like an application of your high school
Okay.
knowledge.
it's a good way to put it.
Reflect high school knowledge. Okay. And then that should be that's kind of going with the whole fairness thing. Like it should be even.
It's gotta be fair.
Yeah.
Even over every school.
it just covers
Or
a
as even
lot.
as possible.
So
Okay. Measurable. So that's the whole standard thing. And I know that the SAT has something called like the core standards of what they want high schools to administer.
what Common Core?
Common
Yeah,
Core.
the Common Core
Yeah.
standards.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's what the 2016 changes are supposed to make it more closer to the Common Core.
Yeah.
So.
And they also take out those SAT words, like the big ridiculous words.
Right.
So how can that be measurable?
It said a perfect score will become a 1600 instead of
2400. That's how it used to be.
Math questions will be more equation based, so on and so forth, stuff like that.
Okay.
So.
What do you mean by measurable though? Like.
I think we just need a way to like.
What do we measure?
Like, you know how we talked about today, like the guidelines, like that kind of thing. Like how it's more guideline based.
Okay.
Just a way that we can like measure. I feel like that's kind of.
Maybe take like the measure of students like taking it the first time. Like have them take this new version like one time, like no prep, nothing like that, who did maybe very well on the original SAT, have them just take the new one as a baseline and then see like if a really smart kid gets this, and then like it'll like reassess the ranges and stuff.
Do you think we should make it more like major based? Like if you're gonna go, I mean they do have subject tests.
I was thinking something along those lines.
That would
like
be smart too.
maybe there should be like different tests made for like different colleges that people are looking at.
Yeah.
Like a
like
college?
you can just have your standard one if you just want to like apply places that you're not sure.
Kind of like the Common App compared to like certain.
So like the Common App for.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Make
that's
it
Wait,
part
make
of
it
that.
like so like Penn State would have their own SAT.
Yeah. Like this is what you have to meet to get into Penn State.
That's actually really smart. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea, I think.
I like
And
that.
the also like the other thing is like it's good because when you take the SAT, like it also costs money to send it out too. Like that's part of like the whole cost thing.
Yeah.
Like kids can only like you only have so many schools before you have to like. start
That's the
paying
only
for
thing. It might if you're applying. If we make it college based, never mind. We'll get to that later. Okay. So what else? It says realistic and then timely. So how long should we like?
Well, it's gonna
Think of this
take
under.
like anything I've read about like the new SAT. Like it starts next spring, but like it's gonna take like a few years, just like a few like cycles of admissions.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would say I would just say 4 years, just
Okay.
like get like a
Take some time,
cycle of kids through
I don't think
high
4
school
years
and
is
college.
bad and relative to what we're trying to do though. Like I think 4 years isn't like that's not a long amount of
No.
time considering what we're trying to readjust how people like think about college readiness. So I
I
think,
think 4 years is solid.
I think that's a decent amount of time.
Because it's not just measuring the first year either. It's supposed to be measuring college
so I think
success overall.
it's a big change that we're trying to implement. So I think
I think 4 years is fair.
Definitely.
Okay. Anything else we can think of?
To measure,
Yeah, like criteria for our solutions.
I guess it'll also take.
College based is kind of we'll put that in solutions because that's kind of more of a solution than a criteria, but we'll just make a note of it. So we have fairness for every student, so like minimize the whole economic thing. Broaden the test, so like make it applicable for every kid that thinks different ways, and have it reflect high school knowledge more. And it should be like implemented within 4 years.
Yes.
So
You think that's good? Or
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
But
measurable, specific, attainable.
The only one thing I would say is I read something that says like even though like students do prep, like I think every time, like every testing day for the SAT, it's different, right? Maybe find a way to like actually measure that. Like, is it actually more difficult on certain days? Is it like more?
Right.
Oh, you're talking about the kids that take it like if they're sick or like the whole.
No, I'm just saying like if you take it maybe in March as opposed to someone who takes it in April.
Like the test is more difficult in that time.
If it is, like, because I've heard like some people say like, oh, I took the SAT like
January's harder than.
and then I took it again and it was easier for whatever reason.
Right.
When you're in school longer and you're like used to test more.
I don't know, just throwing it out there.
That's true. Do you think we could maybe okay, we just have I think that's good. Fairness,
I think that's good.
broaden,
I think
reflect high school
yeah.
knowledge.
So we're not going to cover everything anyways.
Okay.
So those are like
let's
the
start.
4 things.
So solutions. We have the one, right, where we would make it college based.
Right.
Yes.
And by that, do you mean like each college has their own admittance test?
Yes.
Yes.
Kind of like an application, but.
That's kind of tough, but I mean, I
We'll
guess
get
it
to
would.
it. We have to go through the solutions. Then we'll
Agenda, Vincent. Follow the agenda.
Okay. College based, so each college would have their own, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Because then they'll have their own definition of readiness, right?
Right.
I guess that would make sense. Because, I mean, the SAT, like, you have a different standard here than Harvard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because Penn State's better than Harvard.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at.
Well then, and I mean, this isn't like a huge thing on its own, but it's kind of like, for the redesigned SAT, they're dropping, like, you don't have to take the writing section. It's optional, but I kind of think that's a bad idea because, like, I think that's just kind of continuing to pigeonhole people into either, like, you have to be good at reading and math. Like, you can't even, like, be able to express yourself through writing when I think a lot of people are good at writing. So I think, like, they're going the opposite direction when they should be, like, kind of expanding it.
Colleges probably even, like, expect you to take it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, expect the writing portion regardless.
So it's kind of like...
They
Plus,
do,
I think,
but at the same time, they only want your combined reading and math score.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the writing is the fact that, like, it's been really criticized. Like, I agree that writing should be on there, but the fact is that they, like, you're never going to be given 25 minutes to write an essay. And the fact is,
it's
like, people
realistic.
that, like, tutors have said that, like, if you just ramble on a bunch of vocab words and just, like, throw in random sources that aren't even correct, like, they'll just give you credit. Like, they don't even read it. So I think maybe...
Right, so they should redesign it, but I don't think they should just eliminate it.
Not eliminate it, no. So
I think they should redesign it to make it more, like...
Maybe, I don't think it should be an essay in 25 minutes. Nobody can write a solid essay in 25
Maybe you could just, like,
minutes.
submit an essay with your SAT.
Yeah, but that gets problematic because, like, people can have, like, their college essays written by, like, someone who's,
right,
like, an English major.
So maybe just have, like, you read something and, like, write a paragraph on it or something. I mean, definitely, like,
it's very difficult.
It's difficult to judge.
Okay, so how about our solution? We'll reevaluate it later.
Yes, exactly.
Our solution will just be to, like, make everything more applicable.
Yes,
Okay.
that's a good way to put it.
Make more applicable. So I think that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Because readiness is, like, how you can apply everything you've learned, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing.
And
that
how are you
goes
going to
back.
use it when you get to college?
Okay, so make more applicable. So that would be kind of like changing the way the questions are asked, right?
What you mean, questions
on
or
the
subject
SAT.
areas?
Well, if we're gonna,
Yeah.
we have to broaden it for different parts of different kids who think different ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think a part of that is kids, like, rather than regurgitating information, like, they can, if they read something and then they can evaluate it later, like, that's so much more, like, establishing readiness compared to just like memorizing a definition or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And writing down what you memorized and forgetting it later.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, because when you read a paper, why are you laughing?
I don't know, sorry.
When you read a paper, like, in business, like, you have to, like, say what it means and like, understand what it means.
Exactly.
So
it's
I
not,
think that's, so just make the test more applicable, and you can say, like, the way the questions are asked, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the new SAT, actually. It's more evidence-based.
Yeah, no, that says the current essay requires students to form their own argument. No fact-based evidence is necessary, but the redesigned one is essay requires students to evaluate an existing argument through analysis and presentation of evidence.
Yeah,
but
that's so
But
important.
the fact of the problem is the way they did make it more applicable, but they didn't make it broad enough so that every student will understand it. Like, the new math questions that are labeled, like, easy are, like, statistic-based questions.
Okay.
And not every high school kid took statistics.
Right, yeah, because I
Before that, it was, like, I think the high school was, like, geometry. But, like, a lot of kids don't take statistics, and they won't, like, if that, you have to make it equal for everyone.
And
so
that also goes into play as to when you take the test.
Yeah.
Because
That's fair.
there was things that I hadn't learned yet when I took it my junior year as opposed to, like, my senior year in the beginning that I did learn.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
That's that factor.
So I think that goes back to the whole thing that we say that, like, it has to reflect your high school knowledge. So there's got to be some way that they can base it off of. Like, take a survey of, like, I don't know how they would do it.
Well, in reality, it's never going to be completely fair because everyone went to different high schools.
Right.
Everybody had different teachers. And everybody took different things. So, like, unless there's, like, a baseline as to what classes you have to take prior to SAT, then it's never gonna. We can't base it off of, like, what we learned in high school.
So how about we just, like, implement core standards and give it to every high school?
Yeah.
So that
Just
way they have it, they can do whatever they want.
I think that's good.
Okay, and then we'll come back to it and evaluate it later.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so implement the core standards.
Common Core, yeah.
Prior to SAT.
Yeah, through every high school.
Moving along.
Okay.
Those are our solutions, or are we doing more?
I think we should come up with a couple more.
Yeah. Okay. I was reading somewhere. I can't remember where I found it. Someone was saying that the reason, a big problem with the test is that we take standardized classes, and like all of our tests are non-standardized. But then when we go to take like the SAT, like the standardized test, so they say we should like more standardize our classes so that we're used to standardized type things when it comes time to actually take an SAT.
But would it be easier to have the test not standardized rather than to change it?
We'll evaluate it later.
That's just
So let's just what's the solution?
Standardized classes.
Okay, yeah.
Rather than
I read that too, and it said something like apparently Khan Academy like made like tutorials that kids can learn from, and they're like free, and they want teachers to implement them in classes.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll evaluate later when we come back.
Teachers at my house started doing
So it was like
that,
the Common Core stuff, and like students would take the like SAT type questions in classrooms.
Okay.
So that gets rid of the whole like economic thing, like they don't have to pay for tutors, blah blah blah.
Gotcha.
So like the free.
Some high schools offer like an SAT prep class.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I think that also ties back into the high income versus low income. Low income high schools don't really have stuff like that.
Right.
So.
Okay, so free Khan Academy. Okay. What else? Okay, so far we have make it more. We could have a solution that makes it college based, so there would be an SAT type thing for every college. 2, make it more applicable to like what you learned in high school.
Yeah.
3, implement core standards through every high school, and then 4 is the free Khan Academy, like tutorials.
Yeah. And then, I mean, this kind of goes along with the first one too, but I think we were saying, we kind of started off as this, but then we changed it to colleges. Should, like, someone who's going for, like, a business major still have to take, like, the same standardized test as someone who wants to be a doctor? Like, should it all be I mean, I just...
Okay, that's
So
an
I don't know how we
instead
implement
of
that,
by,
but
you're
it's...
saying instead of by college, by major.
By major or, like, direction you want to go.
So subject based.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think it's liberal arts type subjects are a lot different than, like...
Right.
absolutely.
things like
Someone
that.
wants to be pre-med.
And then
So-
like the college of your choice will probably have like a certain test that they want you to take for like almost like a like you know how we have the standards for Schmiel. Almost like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so it would be like a
That's
standard
kind of
that the college would set.
Yeah.
More so how like people get into grad school programs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but
That's a good
just like
example.
on like an undergrad level.
Okay, like the MCATs, but
Yeah,
like instead
exactly.
of for high school. Okay. So like
Just because I think it's kind of useless to make everyone try and take the same test when we don't all want to do the same
So
thing.
many different directions.
Yeah.
it's
Someone wants
going.
something.
okay. Do you think
Right.
there's any other ways that we can like eliminate the whole economic barrier?
I think free Khan Academy is a good thing, but maybe another solution altogether would be better.
Yeah.
Just trying to think.
Throw in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's definitely probably the
'Cause I
hardest
think
part to
that's-
it, just because
it is.
that goes so much
Well,
deeper than just standardized testing.
For
But
the tests that are being administered in 2016, they're having fee waivers for low-income students who will be able to send their scores to 4 colleges free of charge.
That
So-
brings
that
up like
helps,
$80.
but yeah.
I mean, that's
So that
a big
definitely is
deal.
like a big change. Like that's
I think it's
it's
just
a big help. There's no aid right now for it at all.
Mhm.
So
the main problem is high income like schools get taught more, so it's kind of like you want to.
We'll
You wanna-
evaluate it later.
Okay, sorry.
agenda.
No, I love the agenda.
It's all good.
I'm gonna
We have ideas, you
keep
know.
on.
Okay. So, all right. I think that's Well, that kind of goes back to the whole make it more applicable thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that would be
Yeah,
more
I think
fair
it's-
if we make it
yes.
more high school based,
Mhm.
right? Okay. All right. So do you want to go on to the
Yeah, I think we should work towards evaluating the
Right.
on track
Evaluations.
We're good.
Okay, excellent.
Solution evaluation.
Okay.
So what's the first thing we discussed?
First one we discussed, I think, was the different tests per colleges.
College-based.
And I think that's a good idea, but the first thing I thought of when I thought of that is that's going to be expensive. Not every college is going to want to think of it.
The
It is
college-based
test.
one?
Not only
Okay.
expensive for the college, but also for the takers as well.
That's true, because it's multiple tests.
But
That's true.
it's kind of difficult because I think maybe it should be something that is definitely specific to a school, because I know like some schools are like more geared for like engineering,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like you know what I mean,
Mhm.
and then like others are like more like liberal arts based.
Yeah.
But I think there should be some way of measuring that and synthesizing it into a test.
So-
Measuring what? Like how? What?
Being able to take something so say like you want to go to a school that's like a great engineering school.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know one off the top of my
Like
head.
Drexel or somewhere.
Right,
Like
yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
And they should have something, you know, for engineering.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe even like a project.
So maybe
Yeah.
more,
Like
maybe
an
more
SAT,
like
like-
program based, and maybe like colleges can have the same test.
For each major.
Are you following what
For
I'm saying?
yeah.
Like maybe like okay, like Penn State, Ohio State, and a couple others, like to get into those schools for this certain major, they have a certain test.
Yeah.
Like the colleges can pick and choose. That maybe there can be certain levels of tests, and colleges can pick and choose. So like students, if I apply to Ohio State and Penn State for the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
say like I only have to take one test
Okay.
because they'll both take those tests.
Right. So it's
Okay.
like the
So
common
it's
app.
covering for major. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more so for major, but I guess you could say that's on different levels.
Okay.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
So
some
instead
schools-
of having them like subject-based tests, because you know how they have like the
Yeah,
subject
like
tests, do you make
SATs.
them like
Yeah.
major tests? You know what
yeah,
I mean?
Like,
maybe
yeah.
it can be like a mixture of how we had college-based tests and subject-based tests. Maybe it can be
Okay.
kind of a mixture.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean.
Or like intro to engineering kind of thing, because obviously you're gonna learn a lot of that stuff in college.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
So just kind of like a broadened overview of like what classes you took in high school to prepare for that
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like okay, so we would make it okay. So the con we said that would be more money, right? Because
Definitely.
Yeah, that would
yeah,
definitely
It would be more expensive for
And
schools
time.
to teach
Yeah,
about it as well.
and yeah, it's gonna take time because
That's
they're not gonna be able
correct.
to
It would,
have
like, take
perfect
time to
tests in the
implement,
beginning. It would take
Mhm.
a couple of cycles for it to have a
feel
good
like
test that actually works.
That
I
would
think.
completely change the game.
Yeah,
It would.
but
I mean, it's a thought.
yeah, it's
They'd also have to make it easy enough that it's like every kid could be. I mean, not easy enough, but like
yeah,
they'd have to make it the whole Common Core thing. Like
Right.
the science would
Yeah.
have to be on a certain level.
But
Yeah.
essentially, a
Math
kid
have to
who
be
had like a 2.0 GPA isn't going to go into engineering.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
that's true.
You have
Okay.
to keep that in mind.
Okay.
I also think that even though some schools are different, like, and that you're on a different track at a different time, like, there are some things that are, like, basic knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
Basic science.
Just
Like,
common knowledge.
it doesn't have to be, like, not even common knowledge, just things that, like, if you were in AP class, you would know if you were in just a baseline level class.
Mm.
Like, concepts,
Mm-hmm.
not, like, you know, anything ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And if they implement those, like the kids that wanna succeed, like they're gonna strike them out. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna like wanna take those tests to
Yeah.
like get themselves ready.
That's
So
true.
they're gonna do all the things. So that kind of was the whole like readiness for
Then
college.
that adds even like you know how you take the PSATs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would completely change it because everyone would be taking different tests.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
be so standard
Mhm.
for everybody. So that would also be costly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That's true.
Sure.
It would just be more money because in general.
More money in general.
Yeah, so
because
that would
it's
that
completely
kind of
different.
yeah, that's a
You have
whole
to hire
that wouldn't
people.
eliminate the socioeconomic thing at all.
That's
that would
true.
just like heighten it. So that's like a big issue.
Well, I don't think it would heighten it though, because I think it would be more money for the SATs themselves and for like college board and stuff. But I don't know if it would be
Mhm.
more money for the. I mean, I guess if you have to pay to take a bunch of different like subject-based tests or college-based tests, but I don't see how that's really any different than having to pay to send however many applications you were planning on
Yeah.
sending
Right.
out.
It
Because
can also be like optional to colleges. Like some colleges may
Yeah,
like
we can make
say like
that
yeah
true.
we accept the standardized SAT test,
right,
and then
Yeah.
other maybe more like
'Cause-
Ivy League schools or just
Yeah.
higher level schools
Yeah.
will have something more specific they want.
Yeah, it's
because
just
the
like
smaller
another thing to
colleges
look
don't
at.
really need it to like kind of like narrow people down.
What if instead of like college based, like each college individually, like colleges were grouped together, like Ivy League per se?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
or like yeah, I
So,
know.
like,
Like
maybe-
state schools by
That would
then,
make
like,
sense.
Yeah.
Like,
liberal schools.
yeah,
like
like
that
so you
thing.
could take like
Okay.
your Ivies, and obviously that'd be like more
Okay.
difficult than like
yeah,
Penn State, Ohio State, or like Rutgers, or
Right.
any state schools,
So
because
kinda
they're all
going
more or
into
less
how-
similar.
Yeah,
That
you
makes
could
more
take one
sense.
test for like
Because that would make it less money, right?
yeah. I think
That would make it less.
Yeah,
There'd
because
be
if
less
you're-
if
new
you're
test
less,
days,
it's
so-
specific, but not as
Yeah.
directed.
Yeah.
Because
So they would all.
I
come
don't
upstairs,
think
I
that someone who's gonna go to like a smaller school that's not as high, like I don't know how to put like as high as like a Penn State or like an Ivy
Mhm.
League school, like they shouldn't be taking the same test that someone who's trying to get into Harvard.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Like
so
obviously their scores are gonna be skyrocket higher than.
Definitely.
And even so with that, like there are kids who I'm sure get like 2,400 perfect scores, and like they're here, but like on
Right.
scholarship.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Right.
like
Mhm.
you know,
And then we also maybe we could. I mean, there's probably like you said, the fee waiver, we could kind of,
Yeah.
maybe we could like implement, like College Board could implement that too for the kids that want to take those tests, that they can like get a
Yeah.
discount, you know?
And it's just like, how do you apply, like, define low income?
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That's true.
I know some schools even have like, if you, I think it's Harvard, like if your family makes under 40,000, like you have free, like you can go there for free if you get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a perfect
I think that's
example.
important though.
So we kind of like explored it more, we defined it more, 'cause it's hard.
Yeah.
We defined the solution more, so as we went through all the criteria, so we said that it would be more money.
Mhm.
So we kind of like adjusted it to fix that whole thing. So we
Mhm.
said it'd go by like Ivy's liberal and state, so maybe eliminate the cost more because, you know, most kids that want a liberal school are gonna apply to all
Mhm.
liberal
Yeah.
versus like state.
Right.
So that would eliminate some of it too.
I mean that just helps the college process in general.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It like narrows it down.
Yeah, because they can make
It's
their own
such a broad
standards.
test.
I mean, I'm sure there's some that we're missing, but like, I mean, generally speaking, like that covers a lot of ground.
And like how they define readiness, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's our next one? Our next one was make the test more applicable. So kind of, I mean, they already are trying to change it, but I don't think that it's gonna
More applicable,
completely.
yeah.
By applicable, you mean like to your career path?
Kind of just like make it more applicable.
More relevant, kind of like what you actually
What you learned in
use
high school and how college tests are gonna be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind
Because
of
I think a lot of now, like I was saying earlier, like they test you on these things that you didn't learn in high school and you never use them in college. So
I
it's
think
kind
that's
of
a
like
really big problem.
you only need to know it for the SAT, and that's kind of nulls the point of even having an SAT.
I don't understand. Like a big part of that is like the whole essay portion. Like we don't have to do that. Like we don't get assignments like that. Like you don't have to be like, oh, like read this, write about it.
But
Why
I think
will you ever have to do
Yeah.
that for something?
It's just like such a random
Yeah.
measure.
Yeah.
But I do think they need a way to evaluate the writing because I think
No,
writing,
absolutely.
like,
I just
you
don't think that's the
scale
right way.
Yeah, definitely.
I was reading this one thing, and this person named Steinberg, he like studied like 3 types of intelligences, and one of them was componential, which is like interpreting information, and the other one was experiential, which involves the ability to interpret information in a changing context to be creative. And then the last one was contextual, which has to do with the ability to adapt to a changing environment. And then he further looked into the SATs, and he said he believes that the standardized tests were never intended to measure experiential and contextual intelligence. So kids who have componential intelligence like already have an up in SATs.
Yeah.
So like depending how everybody interprets information and applies it like for regular tests,
Yeah.
like everyone does that differently, and the SATs like are only based for like narrow mind, like
Mm-hmm.
people who are componential. You know what I'm saying?
So let's go back and define that whole high school base. So before we evaluate it, we can just go back and define what we think that should mean, and then we'll like evaluate it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right.
So we have to define how we're gonna make it high school based. So I think what we said with your whole intelligence thing, I think maybe we
Right.
should have more open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Like kind of like, this is a problem, how would you solve it? But the only thing is that with doing, okay, I'm just gonna write it down. So more open-ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we said longer essay, correct?
Longer necessarily.
Well, like just longer time.
Either
Either
and, like,
more time or a
different
shorter
type of
writing
essay.
portion.
Different type of writing portion, I'd say. Not
Because
even necessarily.
part
Yeah,
of
it
the
doesn't even
writing,
have to be an
part of the
essay.
writing is like it's still like multiple choice, and it's considered writing. Like
Yeah.
what word best? Like that's not.
It's not.
That's like which one
yeah.
did you pick?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's write it down. And then we said kind of like the whole question thing. So we would make the questions like questions different. It would kind of be like you read, like if you read something, because right now it's kind of like, what does this word mean? It'll be like a sentence, and it'll underline a word. It'll say, what does this mean?
Right.
But instead, you kind of make it more like you read a paragraph and then say like, what was the, like the PSSAs.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You guys, oh, you should.
No, I do. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, I feel like the PSSAs, like, there's a lot of, like, with the whole reading thing, there's a lot of applicable stuff.
Like
you
as
read-
in like you fill in yourself?
No, like, as in, like, you read whatever it's trying to say, and then you, like, come up with a conclusion about what it means.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Or, like,
I get what you're saying.
or
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
more with the whole math thing. Like, I think they should make the math way more.
Then that's also more hard to grade.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
it's hard to
That's
grade, but
another reason
Okay.
why it's like such a standard test.
Okay.
But
so,
if it's worth it, I mean, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so make it more open-ended, because that will, like, adhere to all the intelligences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, like we said, that's hard to define. There's no guidelines. It's harder to make guidelines if we have more open-ended questions.
Right.
Okay.
That's definitely an issue.
Okay.
And depending who grades it, like it could differ. Just like
It's
different
subjective,
teachers.
yeah.
So it's harder to make guidelines. That's a negative. It does adhere to all the. It would adhere to more intelligences, which is a positive.
Right.
It lends itself
Those
to
types of
a bigger pool.
And it would kind of eliminate variability with which kids learned what.
Yeah,
Right. It would be more fair in that sense of how kids interpret things.
Yeah.
We have 15 minutes, just so you guys know.
Thanks,
Just
Vincent.
so we have a time frame. Just making sure.
Okay. So yeah, that would hold the whole fairness thing. Like it would eliminate variability. It would get rid of like the whole income based thing.
And SAT questions are like real. Like when you get a question on a test in high school, it's not the same as an SAT question. Just as that's not the same as a college question.
Yeah.
So like make it, give it some uniformity. You're not training for one test your whole life.
Yeah.
Right.
Are there
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Are there more solutions we need to evaluate?
Yeah, I think the last one we just had like the whole core standards and free Khan Academy, I think.
Right.
So that's the whole Common Core, and I think that kind of goes along with the whole college high school based.
Yeah.
Right.
So such Khan Academy.
Yeah, we kind of touched on those things in the previous ones.
So the Common Core, that would like be awesome because it would the whole eliminate if they gave it to every single high school and every single high school implemented it throughout their
I think it's just like more so like
kids would know what to
once
expect.
you have to reach like
That's gonna take a long time though.
It will.
To figure out what like all the classes.
Yeah, and for everyone to get on the
that's the
same
only
page.
downfall.
Yeah, it's definitely
Take
going to
a long
take way longer than the other two methods would.
But I guess what you're sacrificing in time, you're making up for in the money because it's just online.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it.
That's true. So it would take a long time to implement, right? So that was the whole one of our criteria.
It
But
is
it's still
economically friendly.
It's about
That's
teaching
true.
everyone like the same things, right? I still feel like I definitely think that'll help, but I feel like still at the same time it's like the better teachers go to like the higher income schools, and at the end of the day, like it's still like it'll be more even, I think, but I don't think it's gonna perfect it. I think it'll still be uneven.
I think it's better than
it's
what
better,
we have
but
in place now.
We're not gonna get perfection.
No, I don't think
But
so.
I think that's honestly the best way because then that sets a standard, like we said, like it's fair.
Wasn't there already like a certain standard set by each state that like
Yeah. They have
That's
teachers have to reach?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if the Common Core was implemented in like every state throughout the country and every high school, then it would be like it would kind of
and
be
like
like
some
even.
schools offer like trigonometry, like my high school didn't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So stuff like that I think needs to be more organized. Like
I agree.
we should all offer the same classes.
It would take money to train the teachers though, because they're gonna if they're gonna implement that in their classrooms,
Right.
and or even if there's like a class dedicated to Khan Academy, it's gonna take money to train them.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's not.
But it's not as much as like some previous things that we've talked about.
I just think that's like okay. So take a long time to implement, economically friendly. I think I read something somewhere. I forget what it was. Oh no, never mind. Because I read somewhere that kids or parents would be upset because they'd rather pay for tutoring if they know it's good than like have their kids do free.
Have mediocre.
Yeah, have like
tutoring.
mediocre free. But I think if it's implemented in schools, then you know what I mean. Like it's implemented in every high school, that would solve a lot of that that issue.
Yeah.
I mean, and like
I want to be subject
never
based
gonna
too.
be able to like stop parents from like ordering their kid like an SAT
No,
prep
absolutely
something.
not.
Like that's just how it is.
Yeah.
This is more so leveling the playing field for as many people as we can.
And if the students know the websites and they can access that on their own, that's like, you know what I mean? Like they can study on their own.
Yeah.
And that's the whole with like, if you want to get into college, then you got to do it on your own.
Right.
So that helps us. What did I just say?
Doesn't really help them in the long run, I guess.
They do it on, okay. So if they have access to it, right, that will help.
Right.
We kind of hit all of them. So let's just go through them all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the first one we had college based, and then for our criteria we said that would be more money, so it wouldn't be as fair if kids are going to have to pay. But if we would implement like Christina said with the whole fee thing, so if we implement that, then it could be hard I mean, it could be easier to like get it if it's less money.
Yeah.
But then it goes back to the whole like what is defined as low income.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the,
So if they're gonna do that, then they're gonna have to have a basis for it, like a basis of low income.
Mm-hmm.
I think with time wise, I think this one could be an issue. But we had 4 years.
That will take time.
I think that would take a
definitely
long
take
time because colleges would have to they'd all have to meet, and that would just take forever.
That's fair.
It would just take forever. So
Definitely time consuming.
For as long and as much
I think
money.
that's the most time consuming out of all of them, to be honest.
it is.
So
And I think that might be one of the more costly ones.
yeah.
Yeah, I think for as much time and money it's taking, I think there's we had other methods that
I think
would be
it's
faster.
it's a good idea, but
But
as
it's
far
kind
as
of
paper,
unrealistic.
I think so
As
we're
far
gonna
as
get rid of that
Yeah, I
one.
don't think that
Doesn't
one.
work out well in
It was a good,
practice.
not realistic.
Good attempt. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, the second one we have is, I mean, they're both kind of combined. So it would be the whole implementing Common Core standards and the Khan Academy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that way kids would all learn what the SAT
Right.
wanted them to take.
Mhm.
So that would make it more fair.
Mhm.
And they'd like the Khan Academy stuff would also be free.
Yeah.
So it would, that going back to our whole fairness thing,
Mhm.
would take away from like the low income,
Mm-hmm.
like give them at least somewhat even playing field because you're not gonna eliminate all of it.
It's better than before.
Mhm.
So
What else do we have other solutions? We had reflect high school knowledge, so that's it too.
yeah, that implements that.
And I think, I mean, while it's not, I think 4 years, like I think right now they all already have kind of like core, but I think if they were just given more
I think
or
yeah,
like
I think
telling them
it
to
could.
implement, I think that could be a really,
It might not be 4 years,
really
but I
good
think it'll
thing.
definitely start to be
Yeah.
noticeable within 4 years.
I think it would be more timely than the college-based
Yes,
one.
definitely.
Yeah.
So,
I think.
okay, so this one's pretty timely.
Yeah, I think it works.
I think they could like at least start implementing them within 4 years, which I think
Mhm.
most of them already have. But
Yeah.
I think if it'd be more based for like the public schools that are in low income neighborhoods.
Right.
If you give
Yeah.
them like a list of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to implement it, at least the kids have a chance to like.
Mm-hmm.
What else did we say? So that would we also said like broaden the test.
Which
Well, I think that
implementing
with,
more
yeah,
of
I mean,
the
with
so
high
I
school
think-
too.
yeah, what they're already doing, like they're already broadening the test like
Mhm.
further. So
Yeah.
this would kind of
I think it's.
I
This
think
would
it all
help.
comes back to that
this
same.
would rely to the
Mhm.
test.
Yeah.
Fairness.
I think they all kind of come back to that one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely things that we could incorporate from our other ideas into the Common Core one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as long as the whole point of it doesn't overlap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's important.
Our second one, make more applicable. Yeah.
So the Common Core one, is that the one we're like leaning towards?
Yeah. Do we
I-
want to
I
go over
think-
what we said? The other one that we kind
Yeah,
of
why
said.
don't we do that?
Yeah.
Was the high school based one, which kind of goes with the Common Core, but that one would be more like changing the questions. Like instead of, because the third one is like making the kids fit the test, but the second
Right.
one is like making the test fit the kids.
And I feel like with that, it should be more so like a happy medium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of middle
So I feel
ground.
like we need a combination of the things we wrote down for each.
Yeah.
More standardize the kids, but less standardize
Mhm.
the test. So
Yeah.
they meet each other
That's
in the middle.
literally that's perfect.
So maybe even like changing the Common Core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Changing the Common
That
Core.
makes
So
sense.
we would change the Common Core to be more applicable and then implement that in high schools.
I think that's.
Okay.
I think
sounds
you
like
put
a
it like
plan.
really good.
Thanks.
then that would
The
eliminate-
binary was
Yeah.
excellent.
Thanks.
Yeah,
So that means
Way
it
you
would,
put it
it would
too
be
is
even
perfect.
for all kids, and then they'd also have access to free tutoring.
Yeah.
So that would eliminate that would make it fair for everyone. Would make it more high school based what they learn in high school. So like,
I think that's
Right.
as fair as it's
I
gonna
think
get.
that's because it's never gonna be perfect.
No.
and you
Nobody's
could implement
perfect.
that within 4
And
years.
Montana.
That's like a
So-
timely thing. Okay, and
For it to be
then
successful.
how could it be implemented? Like we said, just
I think we kind of went over that.
just like get a book, give it to the students. Well, not
Yeah.
give it to the teachers.
But yeah,
Mhm.
The teachers need to be taught first,
Yeah. That's the only thing that's
and
gonna
then they
difficult.
teach the children.
And I don't
Yes.
think that would
No,
be like a huge issue.
I don't think it would be too ridiculously
No.
timely or.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
most
but-
teachers would be like
Yeah.
They'd be about
excited about it
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
a lot
And
of
they're all
teachers.
familiar with Khan Academy. It's not that hard. Yeah.
Right.
Like if you just kind of log on, and they could like, implement that when they're studying for a test.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they already use that, so they could
Maybe
just
like
use
put it in
it.
some of their tests.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. And just
Yeah.
give the kids access to
Yeah.
studying for it.
I agree. I think that's a good solution.
I think it's a good
I
solution.
think that works.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else of how it could be implemented, do you guys think?
I think we hit
I think we have
the
it.
major things
We got it.
so far, yeah.
Okay, so we have changing the Common Core standards to be more standardized for more high school based things, and then using the COD Academy videos in classes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then just making guidelines to give to every high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
We good?
Alright, yeah. We're good.
45 minutes.
We're good.
Bye then. Wait, hold on. Alright. Oh, don't. Yep. Well, not yet, Ben. Alright, bye, Ben.
Bye.